What's going on? What's up, guys? In today's video, we're going to be in episode 18 of the Live Your Best Life series. And today, guys, we're going to be talking about that vicious cycle of worrying. Have you ever felt like you was just in this vicious cycle where you was just worrying about everything, worrying about if something would happen and you just couldn't let it go? Well, that becomes a really vicious cycle that sometimes is hard for us to break out of. And so I want to give you guys some tips so that you can start releasing that worry, because what happens when you worry, it causes anxiety. We don't want to be, have anxiety over something that haven't even happened. So, and that's what worrying is. We worry about things that haven't even happened yet. All right. So we're going to be talking about, I'm going to give you some tips so maybe you can break free of that vicious cycle, and so that you can really start living your best life, because I know you can fall into this trap very, very easily. And when you do that, guys, it's just, you waste so much time and so much energy on the wrong thing, when you can be focusing your time and energy on more positive things. So here we go. We're going to start with these few tips, okay? And in hopes that this will really, really, really help you break that vicious cycle. All right. So the first tip is, think about, the things that you've worried about in the past. Okay. What kind of things were that? Maybe pick one situation. In the previous episode, I talked about letting go of your past. So if you haven't watched that, please go ahead and watch that. And before I jump into this real quick, if you're enjoying my content, help me out. Please like the video, subscribe, so when you'll know when I'll upload another video, and hit the bell button so it'll notify you. Okay, so I appreciate you guys. So now let's jump right into this. All right, we want to consider our past worries. Okay, think about a situation, a scenario where you were just worried about the outcome. You were worried about the outcome. So, and if you really think about that situation, that scenario, more than likely what you were worrying about never even happened. Think about it, because I sit back and I think about some of the things that I used to worry about. I used to constantly worry, and it would cause me to have, pain in my chest. I used to freak out, because I'm just concerned what other people might say. I was concerned about what other people might do. All this unnecessary and worrying. And I used to do it all the time. And it just became a really, really a bad cycle for me. And I was staying stuck in my life. And I don't want that for you. I want you to, be able to live your best life. So I want to give you guys a shortcut so that you can, really start living your best life and get rid of that vicious cycle. So, but going back to what I was saying, if you think about that scenario that you just, envisioned or thought about, more than likely the things that you worried about, the things that could happen, might happen, things like that, it never really happened. Now, can you be honest with me? If it did, or if it didn't, let me know down in the comments. I really like your input on this, because, from my personal experience, everything that I worried about, they never really happened. They never happened at all. So I was worrying my head over nothing. I was wasting so much time and energy worrying about something that never even took place. So this, if you can consider your past worries and think about that anytime you feel like you're beginning to worry about something, and you creating all these scenarios of what could happen, what might go wrong, and things like that, I want you to take this tip into consideration, because this will actually help you, release that worrying. about that particular situation that you have encountered. Okay, and it'll help you, relieve anxiety if you are experiencing anxiety, when you are worrying. All right, so we're going to jump into the next tip. All right, guys, the next tip is to really reflect on the worst case scenario. All right, when you can, if you're involved in a situation, think about what's the worst that could happen. What is the worst that can happen? Due to that situation. Because more than likely, you're creating a scenario of the very worst thing that could actually happen. And when you actually go through that experience, you'll more than likely see that it wasn't as bad as you were worrying about. It wasn't as bad as you thought it would be. All right, so think about, when you encounter a situation, just think about, the very worst thing that could happen. And like I said, if the worst thing does happen to you, it's probably not as bad as you thought it was. Okay, so, but more than likely, it's usually the worst case scenario never really happens. But there are cases that it does. So, I don't want to, say it won't happen, but more than likely, the very worst thing that we conjure up in our mind never happens. All right, there are very few cases where it does. So what I want you to do is go ahead and think about the worst thing that could happen for you in that particular situation. And then I want you to really break it down and realize how unlikely that scenario is to occur for you. All right. And the next one is, don't read into things. And with this particular one, because I know a lot of times, because of the unknown, we have a habit of reading too much into things. We read too much into other people's actions. We read too much into other people's words. And we basically create this explosion of bad things. But it's not our fault, because that's the way we were taught, and that's what we took on. That's what we learned, I should say. That's what we learned from growing up, because we always, as human beings, we fear the unknown, because we fear the uncertainty, because we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know how others are going to react or what others are going to say or do. So what I want you to do is to not read too much into, other people's, or spend time worrying about what about others. Because the thing about it is what I've really learned is we cannot control anybody's actions or their beliefs. We can only control what we believe and how we feel. I mean, we can only control our actions. So worrying too much about what others believe or what others think about you, it's just a waste of time. Okay? I want you to focus on you, because you is what matters the most. Okay? Your life is what matters the most, because you write your own story. Okay? You write your own story. Nobody else writes your story unless you hand them the pen. So you can't be concerned about what other people may think about you, what other people may say about you. That's all irrelevant. So take some time and don't worry about what about other people and what they might say. Because I know, I had this really bad habit of really worrying about, if I did something, how would the other person react? And I spent a lot of time, worrying about that. And it just, it kept me from not acting. not being myself, not being true to who I was, not being able to speak my mind because I was so concerned about other people's actions, other people, what other people might do, what they might say because of what I did. But the truth of the matter is we can only be ourselves. And what happens is when we become authentic in ourselves, we will draw closer people who can appreciate us as we are. And we're pretty much going to probably repel, a lot of those people who, wants to create us, wants to write our story, wants us to be the way that they think we should be. All right, so that is the third tip is be yourself. Stop worrying about what other people might say, think, or do because of what you do or say. All right, that is a great way for you to really stop worrying, and not have anxiety when you're worrying. Okay. All right, guys. One of the last tips that I want to give you, so that you can release all the worrying and spend your time and energy on something more positive, is when you feel yourself worrying about something, whatever it is, whatever that might be, is to just let it out. Guys, I talked about in a previous video about, bottling things up, holding things in, suppressing our emotions and feelings. Well, that really includes worrying as well. So what you want to do is let it out, because when you suppress your emotions and your feelings, it's not healthy for our bodies. And we want to live our best life. We want to have a sound mind, a healthy body. We want all of these things. And so when we spend our time worrying, it really damages our body. Okay, so, and that's a whole nother subject. But the thing about it, the point that I'm trying to make here is, don't bottle up your feelings, and don't bottle up if you're worried about a situation. Find a trusted friend that you can talk to that has an unbiased, has an unbiased ear, that can just listen to you, to hear you out, because talking it out will help you release that worrying feeling that you're experiencing. All right. And if you don't have anyone to talk to, maybe you should consider, writing it down, maybe have a journal or something, because writing it down, writing out your feelings, how you're feeling, will actually be really beneficial to your mind, body, and soul. All right. So try writing it down. If maybe you have a journal or something, and if you don't, maybe, consider getting a journal so that you can write down your feelings and your emotions. Because that's just another way for you to kind of process and work through things. And it's basically the same as talking it out with a friend, except you're just getting it out on paper. Because when you're talking to a friend, you can, really release how you're feeling, and that gives you the opportunity to get rid of all those worrying, that you've been doing. And it allows you to, relieve anxiety from being overwhelmed with worrying. And so, guys, I just really want you to live your best life, the best life you can possibly live, living healthy, living free, and just enjoying life, because you deserve to enjoy your life. So don't waste your time worrying. All right. There are so many things that you can spend your time doing, and worrying is not one of them. All right, because it's our time to be free. So we have to find sometimes we have to find creative ways. If you don't have a listening ear, guys, I'm always here for you. I just want you to know that. So that's what I have for you. I really hope these tips were beneficial to you. I just enjoy, just giving of myself and giving you guys all these tips that I've learned along the way, to help you out. That way you won't have to, spend years like I did. I didn't change. My life didn't really turn around until I was about 40. And I don't want you to wait 40 years for your life to turn around. I spent a lot of years in a lot of pain. And I don't want you to have to go through that. So I really hope these tips were beneficial to you. I look forward to serving you more. And I hope you guys have a great day. And as I always say, hey, it's our time to be free. You guys take care, and I'll see you in the next episode.